in my storage. There's a damaged car tire cover that is badly cracked and scratched, and also has stubborn stains such as old adhesive marks. But many people don't know how to deal with stains like these, so they take it to a repair shop, which costs a lot of money. So instead of throwing it away, I'll share with you how to clean stains or scratches on car lights in case you come across the same problem. These stains have been there for a long time, and over the years they have hardened and stuck firmly. You can't use regular sponges like this to clean it, because the stains are really stuck on firmly. You shouldn't use sandpaper directly on the surface because it's not only time-consuming, but also requires a lot of effort to remove stubborn stains. Sanding can take much longer to achieve the same level of cleanliness, and without careful technique, it can leave uneven marks or further damage the surface. Right now, I'm going to share my method to restore the car lights. First, I need to take care of the stains on the surface. I'll use a razor blade to scrape off the stained areas. I need a tool to hold the razor blade in place during the process. I'm going to use this hinge to firmly clamp the razor blade. By doing that, it will be much easier and safer to handle during the cleaning process. Holding the blade with a hinge gives me better control, reduces the risk of cutting myself, and allows me to scrape the stains more evenly across the surface. Next, I need to prepare a solution that I'll use shortly for cleaning. First, I'll pour some 90% ethanol into the bottle, but if you only have a lower concentration alcohol, that will work as well. Next, add a little dishwashing liquid into it. Shake the bottle thoroughly so that the ethanol and dishwashing liquid blend together evenly. Finally, I'll add a small piece of soap bar into the mixture. I need to grate the soap into small pieces so that it can dissolve faster and more evenly in the solution. Breaking it down increases the surface area, allowing the soap to mix thoroughly with the ethanol and dishwashing liquid. Let it sit for a while so all the ingredients can fully dissolve and blend together. Meanwhile, I'll work on cleaning the car light cover. I'll use the razor blade to scrape off the stains. You should scrape horizontally rather than vertically, because scraping across the surface reduces the risk of creating deep scratches. When you scrape vertically, The blade can dig in more easily and leave long, noticeable marks, whereas horizontal scraping distributes the pressure more evenly and makes the surface look smoother after cleaning. When you scrape, it will leave some cloudy marks, but don't worry, this part is very easy to fix. I'll show you how to handle it in a moment. These scratches are deep, existing ones from before, and were not caused by the razor blade. The scraping with the blade only removed the stains and surface grime, but the previous wear and tear had already left these marks. Now it's time to use sandpaper to work on the surface of the car light cover. Cut a piece of foam to place under the sandpaper, making it easier to work with. Use only fine grit sandpaper because fine grit sandpaper is gentle on the surface. It helps smooth out minor scratches in cloudy areas without causing new deep scratches or damaging the car light cover. First, spray the soapy solution onto the surface of the light cover. This is done to lubricate the surface, which helps the sandpaper glide smoothly and prevents it from scratching the plastic. The soapy solution also helps lift dirt and loosen any remaining stubborn stains, making the sanding process more effective and safer for the light cover. Let it sit for a moment so it can react with the surface. Now I'll start with 800 grit sandpaper. Starting with 800 grit sandpaper helps me remove any stains that weren't completely cleaned and smooths out the surface beforehand. It prepares the light cover for finer sanding, ensuring a more even and polished finish in the next steps. If it starts to feel a bit dry, you can spray more of the solution. This keeps the surface lubricated, allowing the sandpaper to glide smoothly and reducing the risk of creating scratches while sanding. After using 800 grit sandpaper, the surface looks much smoother and more even. The remaining stains and rough spots are minimized, though it may still appear slightly hazy or dull. The scratches from the previous scraping have blended in, and the light cover is now ready for the next step with finer sandpaper to achieve a clearer, polished finish. Next, I'll move on to 1000 grit sandpaper. Next, I'll use 1500 grit sandpaper. And finally, I'll finish with 2000 grit sandpaper. Using progressively finer sandpaper like 2000 grit at the final stage is important because it smooths out the tiny scratches left by the previous grits. This step helps create a more polished, even surface and restores clarity to the light cover, making it look much closer to its original condition. Without this final fine sanding, the surface would still appear slightly hazy or rough. After smoothing with 2000 grit sandpaper, the surface becomes much more even and refined. The deeper scratches are less noticeable, and the cover starts to regain a clearer, more polished appearance. While it may still look slightly hazy at this stage, the surface is now well prepared for the final polishing step to restore its shine. These scratches are very deep and, in most cases, cannot be fixed at home. If possible, it's best to take them to a professional shop where experts can properly restore the surface. But the hazy layer is still there. Now I'm going to show you the magic. I'll use a cotton swab and WD-40 to bring back its shine. Spray a little WD-40 onto the cotton swab and rub it over the hazy areas of the surface. As you rub, you'll notice that the surface becomes shinier and clearer right where you've applied the WD-40. The more you work on a spot, the more transparent and polished it looks, gradually restoring the light cover's clarity. WD-40 can make the hazy areas on the car light clearer because it acts as a lubricant and solvent. It penetrates the tiny scratches and micropores on the surface, reducing the appearance of cloudiness. Additionally, it leaves a thin, protective layer that reflects light better, making the surface look shinier and more transparent. This doesn't remove deep scratches, but it greatly improves the visual clarity of worn or foggy areas. After applying it, The surface becomes noticeably clearer and shinier, and the hazy layer is significantly reduced. The light cover now looks much more polished and closer to its original condition. Have you ever felt tired of the old, rough paint that's been on your metal items for years? Do you want to give them a fresh, new coat of paint without having put in too much effort? This is an experiment I tried before, and I found it to be incredibly effective. Now I'd like to share this method with you, so you can try it out yourself and see how effective it really is. It's simple, doesn't require much effort, and the results might surprise you. With paint layers like this, you can't remove them using normal methods. You'll need to use some machinery to get the job done. If you try scraping it with a knife, it will scratch the metal surface and also take a lot of time. I'm going to show you a scientific method to remove that layer of paint. Now, I'll start the demonstration. I'm going to show you a scientific method to remove that layer of paint. First, I'll use silicone. You should use a general purpose or construction grade silicone sealant, one that's suitable for metal surfaces. Pour a small amount of silicone into a cup. Next, add a little thinner to the cup. Thinner is a solvent used to dissolve or thin paints, varnishes, and coatings. It helps break down the old paint, making it easier to remove or spread evenly, and it can also clean brushes or surfaces after painting. Stirring this mixture by hand takes a long time and can be very time-consuming. So now, instead of spending a lot of time stirring it by hand, I'm going to create a simple tool that can do the job for me. This way, the mixture will be blended much faster and more evenly, saving both time and effort. Now, I'll attach it to a drill and start mixing. The mixture is now fully blended, so I'll apply it onto the paint that needs to be removed to see how well it works. All you need to do is apply the mixture onto the paint and wait just a few seconds. You'll notice the paint gradually softening and starting to dissolve, making it much easier to remove without scraping or damaging the metal surface. All you need to do is gently wipe it with a cloth, and the paint will come off easily. When you start wiping, you'll notice the softened paint lifting off almost effortlessly. With each gentle swipe, the old, rough layer peels away, leaving the metal surface underneath cleaner and smoother. There's no scraping or harsh rubbing needed, just a light touch, and the paint comes off in soft, easy-to-remove patches. Beneath the removed paint, the metal surface looks clean and smooth, almost like new. Its natural shine and texture are restored, free from scratches or rough patches, giving a fresh and polished appearance that's ready for a new coat of paint. I'm going to apply the mixture over the entire painted area. After applying it, wipe the area again with a cloth. In some spots where the paint is thicker, it might be a bit harder to wipe off at first. But all you need to do is apply the mixture again, wait a few seconds, and the paint will soften and dissolve just like before. You can see how effective this method is. Even stubborn, thick layers of paint come off smoothly without much effort. It's quick, efficient, and gentle on the metal surface, leaving it clean and ready for a fresh coat. Once the entire layer of paint has been completely removed, the metal surface underneath looks clean, smooth, and almost like new. It's fully prepared for any further treatment or fresh coat of paint. In conclusion, using thinner combined with silicone is both highly effective and incredibly easy. The mixture quickly softens even old, stubborn paint, allowing it to be removed with minimal effort. It saves time, protects the metal surface from scratches, and makes the whole process much more efficient compared to traditional scraping methods. Now that we've seen how effective the thinner and silicone method is, let's move on to another approach that works differently but can also help remove old paint efficiently. With old paint cans like these, you might want to recycle them, but the paint surface is uneven or the color isn't what you like. However, for paint cans with labels like this, I won't use the previous method. Instead, I'll make use of the remaining WD-40 in the spray can. It's perfect for loosening up paint residue and cleaning surfaces without much effort. Next, I'll add a small amount of toothpaste to the mixture. The toothpaste might sound unusual, but acts as a gentle abrasive that helps lift and scrub off leftover paint residues, making the cleaning process even more effective when combined with the WD-40. Next, I'll add some Vaseline to the mixture. The Vaseline helps create a smooth, protective layer, allowing the abrasive action from the toothpaste and the solvent power of the WD-40 to work more effectively without damaging the surface underneath. After mixing everything thoroughly, it's time for the final ingredient, a little gasoline. The gasoline boosts the solvent power of the mixture, helping to dissolve any remaining paint and making the whole process faster and more effective. Once I have the gasoline, I'll add just the right amount of mixture. This ensures the solution is strong enough to remove the paint effectively without being overly harsh on the surface. I'll mix all the ingredients together thoroughly, ensuring the solution is uniform and ready to use for removing the paint. Now, I'll apply this mixture onto the surface of the can. With this type, you need to let it sit and soften first, unlike the other paint that reacted almost immediately. Once it has softened, I'll use a wooden stick to gently scrape the surface. As I gently scrape with a wooden stick, the softened paint begins to lift and peel off the can surface. It comes away in small pieces, revealing the cleaner metal underneath without much effort. It's surprisingly easy. The paint lifts off effortlessly with just a light scrape. You don't need to use any force, so there's no strain or risk of damaging the can. The process is smooth, quick, and requires minimal effort. For this type of paint, a simple wooden stick is all you need to remove it effectively. Using any metal tools is not recommended because they can easily scratch or damage the surface of the can, leaving unsightly marks. After cleaning, the can surface looks completely restored, smooth, shiny, and free of any paint residue. It's ready for reuse or for applying a fresh coat of paint, with its original metal finish fully preserved. In conclusion, these methods show how effectively old paint can be removed with minimal effort. Whether using the thinner and silicone mixture for stubborn layers or the WD-40, toothpaste, and Vaseline combination for labeled cans, the process is quick, efficient, and gentle on metal surfaces.